So I just finished watching a video from Anna Brooks Thompson talking about why she's not impulsing and supporting the idea of magic being real with her daughter Laura. And I wanted to make a video response and also just a clear, definitive statement that Cameron and I have also made the decision not to impulse magic being real or like fantastical beasts and beings being real with our kids, and just also kind of explaining the reason for that. Like, we're not doing Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny and that kind of stuff with the kids. And it's really interesting because I think we should all sit down and kind of question, why are those things so important for us to impulse with our children? Because it would seem as though it's really important. And I've had people tell me that directly. Oh, you should just let them live the magic that is childhood, because they're going to have to face the harsh reality of adulthood. So let them enjoy their childhood while they can. And then so many books and TV shows are all participating in the fantastical and the concept of magic. And so with Max and now with Seneca, whenever we don't necessarily restrict what kind of books we read. So we read books that have, some of the books we read have like unicorns and mermaids and stuff like that. But I always support Max to understand that these things are not real. So I'm very vigilant about explaining to Max, why these things are being talked about, like these stories, and what's not real and what is. And the reason for that is because it's pretty obvious to me, and also through my participation with Destiny for the past 10 years, and also Cameron and I, we both agree that we've all, as human beings, allowed ourselves to distract ourselves with this concept of hope and magic, and distract ourselves with these fantasies, and that starts as a habit when you're a child, and then you kind of hold on to it as a habit, but it's just placed on other things. Like, so for example, an adult fantasy might be winning the lottery, or finding your true love, and like all of this stuff, and other mundane things, more mundane things. But it's like we're training children's minds to focus on things and to wish for things and hope for things that are not real. And we're missing out on a lot of things that are here and present and real. And I think that deep down, something that we adults are not fully aware of is that we perpetuate this onto our children as a tradition, because we don't really want to be honest with our kids about why we're allowing the world to exist the way that it does. Because for billions of people living here, and so many children who are being born today, they do not get access to any sort of hope and fantasy. They don't get to spend like time thinking about unicorns and dragons. They're concerned about where they're going to get food from, whether their pit latrine is empty, or whether it's full today, or whether their kid is getting some preventable disease from playing in their own feces. Like, it's stuff we don't want to talk with our children about, because we don't want to talk with each other about it. And the problem with that is, over time, less and less adults are even aware that there are people in this world who are just totally existing and suffering, and that is preventable, and that it's preventable by us all taking each other's hands, coming out of the fantasy and hope realm, and coming into reality where, just like Anna was talking about, there's so much beauty and gifts that this world gives to us. I mean, the sun gives light and growth to all of us unconditionally, and yet we as human beings cannot give unconditionally even to our own fellow human beings on this planet. And there's so many problems that could be solved if we were actually focused on solving them. And that requires us to stop perpetuating this habit of participating in fantasy and this idea of hope, and like you can just, like, there's some magical aspect of the world that's going to take care of your life and take care of everyone else's life. And if they could just harness that magic, then they could pull themselves out of that wretched poverty. And the reality is that's not true. And the magic that some people believe that they have, if we were all to take a real look at their lives and at our own lives, we can see that magic is not real, and that life is real, and we're all here together, and that if we really focused ourselves, we could fundamentally change the experience for so many people in this world that are just living in abject poverty and suffering. And the other difficulty is that people think that children shouldn't have to face that. And children are going to be the next generation, and they have a lot of potential still within themselves because their natural learning ability is so open to educate themselves, to that they're responsible in the sense of the word response, able to respond to the problems in this world. They're the next generation of policymakers, of creators, of inventors, of business owners, of advocates. Like, they're the ones who are going to be running this world. And so why not support them to see the reality of it? It's not something we need to sit around and be sad about or feel guilty about. We need to face it and change it. And if we can support our kids to not participate in the distraction and to face what's here, then we can actually really fundamentally create heaven on earth. And I'll tell you this, my son, who's 3 now, has not missed out on anything by not getting to do Santa Claus or not getting to believe that the mermaid in his book is real. Like, he's having so much fun and enjoying life that's here that he doesn't need this stuff that's not real. And you can utilize your imagination in ways that are much more supported and grounded in reality. And he's proof of that. And he proves that to me on a daily basis. And it's so cool to watch, because we've got this idea that imagination needs to be something that's fantastical. And it's like, when my son plays, he imagines about real people and real things. And it's so cool. And it's so fun for him. And it's like, we're actually taking that away from our kids by participating in all the fantasy bullshit. We're taking away the ability to focus on what's really here. And so I just wanted to say that and support anyone else who might be like leaning in that direction. And if you're participating in Santa Claus and all that stuff, just support your kid to understand that that's just something we're doing for fun, and and it's not real. And you'll be surprised, like, your kid will not miss out on anything. And so, yeah, I think it's really cool that Anna stood up and said that, because we can support a lot of parents, and we can just support a lot of adults to just get back to reality. Let's all take hands. Let's all take each other's hands to get out of the fantasy world and just come back here to what's real, so that we can face what's going on, what we've created and allowed, and forgive ourselves for creating it, and then start implementing the things that we need to implement in order to change it. because all the things that are going on in this world are all continuing based on all of our participation. We can't blame it on some CEO. We can't blame it on some corporation or some government, because we are all collaborating in that. So yeah, let's get back to reality.